right now?
Yes, I am, Graham and Darren. I am speaking to you about 10 miles outside of Bristol.
Oh, nice, nice.
I
Bristol
would
always
actually
Bristol always reminds me of Monty Python. I think it was the chicken of Bristol, I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just talking to my buddy in, Leicester this morning, and he was
Oh,
saying
wow.
that, he was giving me the diesel prices.
Oh, yeah,
I think he said it was like, 13.50 Canadian per gallon.
yeah. Mhm,
Oh,
mhm.
that's quite a bit more than what we pay here, yeah.
It's about double. I was like,
Yeah.
"Man, that's like, that'd be like paying $4 or 4.20 a liter here in Canada."
Yeah, it's going there. I don't know what's going to happen, but things are being squeezed at the
Yeah,
moment here.
yeah. So we're gonna talk about your book, Thai Buddhist what is it? Thai Tattoo Magic, The Initiatory Practices of the Thai Buddhist Magicians. Sounds fascinating, but, I mean, I'm always curious because you've been sort of in this underground, Buddhist counterculture kinda scene, which some of it seems like a contradiction in some ways, so, but I'm super curious if as to how people get into these environments, and was there something that, like, happened to you or what drew you to this, so many decades ago back then?
Um, well, that's a very good question, and really, I guess when I was a child, I got exposed to Asian culture quite early, and there's this TV show called Kung Fu on TV in the '70s, and that kind of hooked me. I really got interested in the philosophy. I was raised in a house that had books. My parents belonged to a book club, and both of them were avid readers, and so I was just fortunate to have that kind of environment, to have somewhere there were books, where people could afford to have books. And um, the book clubs in the '70s were easy to join and to be a part of. And my parents belonged to a book club, and they just selected titles every month. And one of them was called Magic Words and Numbers by Stuart Holroyd, and that opened my mind to Aleister Crowley, numerology, tarot, um, psychic abilities, ley lines. Um, and this is a lot to take on board for a young kid to absorb all of these ideas. And I was always interested in ghosts and supernatural, so my interest in esoteric subjects was quite strong from an early age. And I just naturally gravitated towards it. I had a predisposition. To answer your question specifically about the ideas of Thai Buddhism, my mother used to go to a sculpture class, and one day she brought home this sculpture, part of her, in the local college. She was learning how to sculpt, my late mother, and she brought home this statue of Buddha. And I was just like completely enamored with it. I mean, just the shape of it. And I thought, well, who's that? What's this? And um, from that, I got interested in Buddhism and started reading the Beat poets. And they're interested in Zen Buddhism. I got involved with a form of Buddhism called Nisshin Shoshu Buddhism in the early '90s. A group of friends, they really got into the idea of Nisshin Shoshu Buddhism and were practicing. And I I mean, I was interested, but I wasn't interested enough to fully commit to it. So I dipped my feet into it, so to speak. I just got, oh, this is kind of interesting. Then I met someone and ended up living in America in California and became interested in Tibetan Buddhism. And that really, really, and still really, really interests me. And I studied that. and worked in a bookshop for many years. I didn't just sit around, drink coffee, and read books and think I'm enlightened. I was working many hours just hauling skids in, very manual labor, really, with the rest of the team, truck to floor in 24, that kind of thing. Um, 36,000 square feet of bookstore, fully locked and loaded for operation every day. I ran an international newsstand with about 2,500 titles from newspapers and things like that, journals, magazines. So it was kind of tedious. So having an employee discount and being able to buy like one copy of a book about ancient Tibetan magical practices was kind of a big thrill for me, and it made it worthwhile. So I was able to study mantras and start chanting mantras, and that was where I committed to starting to chant the mantra of Padmasambhava. This is in the early around 1999, 2000. I started chanting the mantra for Padmasambhava. Om Ma Hung Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Hung. That is the mantra, and I started looping it and started acquiring visions, divinated visions of different aspects, which guided me and helped me to basically acquire and discern certain aspects of my existence. And I was privileged to be able to do that, to have a roof over my head and to be able to have a small but quiet practice. Then I got divorced and came back to Britain. And my interest also has been with music. I'm a musician. And in the, I think the mid 80s, I started getting into a group called Coil. And I kept tabs on this group, Coil, experimental electronic group. And they got interested in going over to Thailand and interested in traveling around Thailand. And I thought, it's kind of interesting. I've never been that far east before. And an opportunity arose for me to go there. And I started traveling to Thailand over a period of 7 years. I went there 4 times. And I came into contact with a group of individuals that are called Ajahns. And these are Buddhist technicians. These are really magicians, Buddhist magicians. And they are imbued with various powers. I think the term sensei in Japanese, teacher, someone of great knowledge, is comparable to an Ajahn. And gradually over time, I mean, I never really wanted to get tattoos in the first place. I mean, it's something that's kind of scared me, really. Just the idea of huge needles hammering into me. But actually, I overcame that fear, and I slowly became embedded into a culture that has completely and magically transformed me. So I hope that in some way answers your question, Graham.
Oh yeah, I mean, it even goes on to it was answering part of my next question, which was about the magical practices, because Buddhism can be sort of looked at as really kind of bland, sort of meditation, mindfulness kind of thing from a Western perspective, but your work seems to really tie in this magical. I don't want to use a cult in a bad way, but more of like a shamanic kind of um a cult bent to it. So I was wondering if you'd experienced anything, magical early on like that changed your mind about what Eastern Buddhism and all that is all about, and you kind of just described it with the Ajahns. So was there a big difference between, like, were you initiated with the tattooing Was there a difference between what you did with the tattoo as a tourist would go and have a tattoo by them?
Okay, let's unpack what you've just said because there's quite a lot in there. And
Yeah.
thank you for the question. It's a very good question. Um, you know, um, hmm, many tourists go to Thailand, as you rightly said, and they go there to receive a spiritual tattoo. I don't like doing that all the time, so that's the only time I'm going to do it. And and I hate when people do it as well. They go, "Oh, don't do that." So it is the term spiritual tattoos, and it's used often. And many people go to Thailand because they want a spiritual tattoo. What they what people do not quite understand is that, you mentioned the word initiation. It's interesting. Somebody posted something about initiation, that big initiations are not necessary. I respectfully disagree with that. You can't read about an initiation and think you've been initiated. I try to be a good writer, and I try to write in as much detail as humanly possible about what I'm writing about so that people feel informed. But you can never, never replace experience. Experience and the feelings that you undergo while you are being initiated
Yes.
are wordless and cannot be articulated in text, because it is the feelings, and the feelings that are raised in an initiation are very, very different than just reading about something. You are taken on a journey. Magical rituals are a liminal portal, and as an initiate, as someone who is initiated, you go through that portal and you are experiencing something, and then you come out the other side and you are transformed. There is a transformation, and what people need to understand is when you receive Sakyant tattoo, you are having an encrypted magical spell placed onto your body. It is a real thing. Now, whether or not, and most Ajahns have this on the wall of their samak, which is the place of work, where they work. It's not a tattoo studio. That is a completely separate thing. And I have enormous respect for tattoo artists. Tattoo artists cannot give people Sakyant and call them authentic, because Sakyant is a magical form. It is a medicine. It is a very clear and unique form of magic that is applied to the body, and it is applied using very specific mantras, and also in an environment that is magically enhanced. I've had these Sakyant done in front of a fully consecrated shrine. And that means it is a sacred act. It is a sacred and holy act, and one cannot treat it in any other way. It's not just a fad, it's not just a souvenir, it is a way of life. It is a commitment to a pathway. Muay Thai fighters, the Thai fighters that do very specific form of fighting, they have Sakyant on their body. And this is meant to imbue them with great power, but they have to live in an ethical manner in order for that Sakyant to retain its power. And on the wall, as I mentioned just slightly previously, Ajahns have clear rules that basically inform the person receiving the Sakyant what is expected of them. and the rules are pretty clear. I mean, one of them actually on Ajahn Deng's wall says, "Don't eat dog meat." You know, no trouble there. You know, I mean, I'm not interested in eating dog meat, and I never will. But there are other rules, and one of them is maintain the 5 precepts. And the 5 precepts in Buddhism are very clearly outlined. I mean, you know, I approach this as someone who was, well, you know, I used to be, well, I led a dissolute life. You know, I mean, I was a hardened pot smoker. I did quite a lot of drugs in my life. I mean, I was heavily into psychedelics in the 90s, enormous amount of psychedelics. And I've lived in that way. And then suddenly in 2017, I completely stopped all that and upheld the 5 precepts of Buddhism. One of them, do not take drugs or drink that changes or alters your mind. And I started walking this pathway, and all kinds of things started changing in an amazing and sublime way. To discuss that would take a very long time, but I decided to follow the 5 precepts. And this is to strengthen the value and the magical value of the sakyat that are on my body. And that is important. It's these designs, these intricate, complex, beautiful Buddhist animist designs are nothing. They are nothing unless you have the faith and the spirit behind them with you as you practice. Some people take them on, it's a nice thing to look at, end of story. And some people want to have these magically protective things on their body. Let's just say that they are software for the body's hardware, and they are security patches. They work with your psyche, but only if you put in the work. You have to put in the work to make them work. The balance has to be drawn. You understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to, you know, you can say, look, I climbed Everest. Oh, did you? What was that like? Well, you know, it was pretty easy because I took a helicopter. Oh, well, what you really need to do, and what you really need to say is, I climbed Everest and I climbed every single base camp, and then I got to the top. It took a long time. I nearly died, but by goodness, I did it. Wow, what was the benefit? I climbed Everest. You see, Crowley, he was a mountain climber, and he reflected this in his life. He was climbing mountains of magic all the time. Now, if you want to do that, if you want to be an icon of lived magic, great. But my interest in pursuing this pathway was in magical transformation, into changing myself in order to evolve and to become awakened. And a lot of people use the word in Buddhism, and you're right, it's dry. People think, hey, this is really dry. I mean, why do I want to? I mean, who wants to know about just sitting down and watching your breathing for hours on end? What's the point? The point is that you break through. You break through after many years' practice, and you become awakened. Enlightenment is not a word I like using. It's been badly translated from very early on. It's not a good word to use in Eastern philosophy, in my humble opinion. Awakened. Awakened is a far better translation of that word, that feeling. I don't know if this answers your question, but I'm just
Yeah. Yeah.
talking.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. I guess maybe just to drill in a little bit more about the tattoo experience. Like, do you pick a design, and is it based on certain transformations that you want, or are you given one based on transformations that you might need? How does that work?
there are many forms of tattoo as there are stars in the sky, and Sakyant is medicine. But then there's Sakyant, for example, one particular young chap. He was in Ajahn Deng's Samnak before I entered, and we had to wait for him to leave. He had a job interview, and I've mentioned this before previously, and he had these two like small tattoos on his throat, and they were placed there in order to improve his sense of speech. So he basically went into Ajahn Deng's Samnak before his job interview to improve his ability to speak eloquently. So there are many different kinds of Sakyant for many different types of magic, many different situations. Now, I have a Sakyant called the Soisan Wan, and that is across the top of my chest. Now, I didn't ask for it, but it was given to me. And it was given to me because Ajahn Sir, Ajahn Tiger, he through a vision said, I see you with this tattoo. And I'm going, oh, really? And he basically diagnosed me as someone who required this Sakyant. Now, having an Ajahn diagnose you through a divination, through a vision, is something to go through. And if you have that, if you're fortunate enough to have an Ajahn diagnose you with a specific form of Sakyant, you take it. You take their advice, and believe me, it was not something I would naturally choose. And it was it was a peak experience. I went through levels of pain I never thought I would endure. Metal on bone through skin, hard metal through, really cosmic levels of pain. But that is the essence of pilgrimage. The essence of pilgrimage is sacrifice. You sacrifice yourself in order to achieve a sense of peace. Some people, they travel many years. They are just worshipping the ground as they go to get to a point of pilgrimage. And I've had some people tell me they're mentally ill. This is crazy. How do you how are they doing this? This is just crazy. And Buddhist asceticism in Buddhism, ascetics who go through incredible ordeals in order to be closer to the spirit is something that does interest me. And that is something that encourages spiritual growth.
What happens what about all these people that are getting tattoos in settings that aren't like that? Are they just sort of like, like, I guess the best case scenario would be that they don't have any effect, or are they having some effect? Is there a negative connotation to having tattoos just by the tattoo guy? It's sort of taken over the culture where everybody's got them. So what is this doing?
Yes. I think that's an excellent comment to make, Darren. I think that's a very good comment. What is this doing? Is this diluting the culture? Is this destroying the culture? I'll give an example. I noticed this gentleman from London went to Thailand. He was a hairdresser, and he went there, and he wanted Sakyant designs on his body, and he didn't go to an Ajahn. He wasn't interested in the spirituality, interested in the commitment to the pathway. He just wanted the designs on his body. And he went to a tattoo parlor, and he had designs placed on his back. And the tattoo artist was more than willing and happy to give these, but he wasn't trained. He wasn't able to initiate someone correctly into this, and the guy, he got his tattoos, and then sometime after, his hire car experienced critical damage when a tree snapped off and smashed through the front of his hire vehicle. You know, you're playing with fire.
So that
these
was
are,
in that instance, he's getting these sort of he's getting the designs that have the power behind them by someone who's not initiated to give them. What about someone who's just getting like a skull and crossbones, or just like non like does like
Like in the Western world.
how do these other Western symbols fit in? You know, that sort of stuff, the tribal tattoos, the all sorts of different things we're doing that maybe if they do have magic behind them, it's not clearly defined. So what kind of fire is that playing with?
everything has magic. Everything, all things. As an animist, as a believer in that, I see all things as magical. You know, I'm going to pick this cup up. It is drenched with meaning. It is a magical cup to me. And now I'm going to drink from this magical cup. And I believe this has magical liquid. You know, tattoos, all tattoos are special and magical because they have meaning. They're important to people. They mean things. And as you pointed out, Darren, how does this all play? I mean, when I put something on my body, what does it mean? Some people use tattoos as a form of healing. I mean, some people go through incredibly difficult periods of life, and they want to note this passing of something, and they want it placed upon their body. Tattoos have been around for thousands of years. We've been doing this since the Ice Age.
So is your intent enough, or does the intent of the person given the tattoo? Because you could have all the intention in the world, what you want it means this, it's got all these good connotations behind why you're getting it. But then the dude who gives it to you is, hungover and doesn't give a fuck. He's just counting,
Yeah,
stacking
yeah.
Benjamin.
It's everything. Everything is dependent. This is why when an Ajahn gives a Sakyan tattoo, they are mindful. And mindful means that they are precision honed. They are precise in what they're doing, how they're doing it. And when they do it, they're chanting a mantra, either vocally, quietly, or silently in their mind as they apply the design in front of on consecrated ground. I mean, this is why it's important not to dilute the practice. And I mean, I'm all for Western practitioners going over to Thailand and getting the training. But the thing is, there's a commitment. There's a very specific commitment to learning. And it's important that people follow that, follow the commitment. And there are some excellent Western practitioners of Sakya tattoo. There are some who have committed their lives to learning it the correct way. I, I mean, I love design and the way design affects magic. I mean, there are many tattoos that people have, and they have their own magical presence. There's a book called The Illustrated Man. I don't know if you've heard of it. And that has always interested me, this idea of stories coming alive on someone. I think everyone who has a tattoo, has marked something, even if it. I mean, yes, the person that applies it and their intention is important, and also your state of mind is important because it's a snapshot of that time. It captures that point in time, and it is a time capsule. So when I started this process, and I didn't think I'd be starting a process, I didn't think I'm going to get a load of tattoos. I didn't even want one to start with. And then gradually it was introduced to me. And then gradually I thought, okay, all right, I'll just try. The first one I had was actually invisible.
So if it's if it's transmuting your skin, then, or it's a transmutation, then in a way, then does the astrological significance matter too? Then, I mean, if you're saying like it's a snapshot in time, then where the celestial map
Yes,
is makes a difference.
yes, yes, exactly. I've had Ajahns refuse a ritual because the day wasn't correct. I mean, they work on that level. They triangulate to the nth degree when they're going to do a magical ritual, very, very specifically. I mean, to the day, to the hour. You know, I mean, these people work in detail, and they think, oh, this is, and they observe the charts that they have. They have sets of charts and books. They use astrology. It's the SCSI drive of magic in Thai magic. I mean, this thing runs everything, and everything is underneath it. It works in tandem, and people refer to astrology and astrological placements in order to cast spells.
Sorry, I interrupted you about the invisible when you were getting the invisible tattoo.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
finish
No,
that.
no, 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 not at all, not at all. That's fine. Yeah, the first one I had was invisible, meaning it was done with oils. It wasn't, you couldn't see it, and it was a design of May Saraswati. Ajahn Nanting, he gave me my first sakyant. Ajahn Nanting is a remarkable sorcerer. I mean, A1, very powerful sorcerer, and he gave me my first sakyant, and he was, and still is, a great teacher. And I mean, the first experience I'd never, I mean, I felt like literally I was being plugged into a power station. I felt, I mean, I've never experienced anything in my life. I still remember it today very clearly how I felt. It was overwhelming. And I felt, I mean, see, it takes years to process this stuff. And this is also a very, very slow form of magic. It isn't like suddenly, boom, tattoo, everything's different. It pervades slowly over time. And they each can work with each other. I would suggest, I mean, I noticed some people go out there and they said, I want to be completely covered. Well, personally, I had one to start with, and that was enough. Way, way enough, you know? And then over time, over years, I slowly became able to manage the weight of these designs. And they do carry a considerable amount of weight. I mean, some people have the double tigers immediately. Well, you know what happens when someone buys a Porsche as their first car, they're going to crash. It's a very powerful design, very powerful piece of magic, and you need to be able to manage it. You need to be able to have mastery over yourself. And once you have mastery over yourself, then you can move on to another form. It's a slow process. And some people, there was a great practitioner, Kruber Ponset. He said, I don't want to give anyone more than 3 at any one time. Only 3 designs. No more, no more. And he was very strict about it. He's sadly no longer with us, but some people think in many different ways. I mean, in the book, I show very clearly the different forms of tattoos that I have, and also my back. It is completely full because I was being led to that decision. But that decision only evolved over time. It wasn't a lightly taken decision. It happened over time. And here we are today.
Darren,
What
do you have any
about
questions, or do you
Well,
want
what
to?
about the, I mean, what about getting into the actual materials, the inks, the colors? Is there certain, I mean, nowadays you can get any sort of colors. They're all made with different dyes. I don't know where the dyes are coming from. Is there something to just, the black, how they're doing that with, I think it was charcoal back in the day. I'm not totally sure. You probably know better than me. But is there something to those sort of like original ingredients versus today's modern inks and dyes, or if can the practitioner's sort of intention override that kind of stuff?
Um,
'Cause nowadays we might be putting weirder stuff in our bodies, right? Before it all, it's in the back. It seemed like even if there was, you were still putting foreign stuff in your skin, but there was like an organicness to it, right? It came out of the environment directly. We weren't making synthetic things and stuff like that.
yes, it's a very good point. The tattoo, the Sakyant Sir Yen tattoo, the tiger tattoo that I had given to me, bestowed to me by Ajahn Tuli, that had the bile of a bear, the bile of a bear and a tiger mixed in with the ink. Now, no animals in this form can be killed deliberately. No life can be taken. So these creatures can only be accessed once they have passed. And Ajahns have many helpers who loyally and carefully source materials that stay within the Buddhist precepts. Do not take life is the first Buddhist precept. So Ajahns cannot knowingly use any form of animal products that have been killed deliberately for the purpose of usually some kind of natural death or even a supernatural death. If a creature has been killed by lightning, that is highly prized. So they cannot use anything that's, So I had tiger and bear bile from a bear and a tiger in the ink on a tiger tattoo that's on my arm. And this imbues it with extraordinary power, the bile of an animal. Now, I can't say that it's made my life better, but what I can say is this. I was given instructions by Ajahn Tui to summon the spirit of the tiger. And in the book, I go into great depth of what happened when I visited Ajahn Tui, and I strongly recommend that you read it, because what happened was what I would call a peak experience. I thought I was going insane. I went into a trance. And I went into a trance and I started to take on the attributes of a tiger after he had applied the Sakyat. Even before I got to his Samnak, even before we went through the rituals, weird things were happening. I mean, the car stopped, got out of it, and literally an amulet that I had was ripped off by some unseen force. It took me a while to find it. I describe it in the book. I mean, this is all happened. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I just record it's a spiritual memoir, basically, a piece of hardcore reportage of what happened when I went to Thailand. It's a spiritual road movie, and I have done my utmost best not to misspeak or tell any lies or anything like that. It is straight from the heart, and it is from my field notes, and as I perceived it to happen. And this technology, this magical technology, once it is employed in the correct manner, the ink, yes, you're right, Darren, there are many varieties and different ways of mixing the ink. And as for modern technology, I'm not sure. I don't have modern tattoos because the type of tattoos that I have are very highly specific and unique. They're not, there's nothing modern about them. These are ancient designs, and they've been applied applied by a master of the art. I've had Sakyan tattoos from Ajahn Nanting, Ajahn Apachai, and Ajahn Deng. Ajahn Deng has done the majority of the work on my body. And each time that I've had these Sakyan tattoos, something else has happened and something is expanded upon. It's like a jigsaw. These different things happen, building up over time. So modern tattoo artists use extraordinary methods, but this is an ancient form. Yes, there are similarities, but the designs are ancient and they've been handed down from master to student for countless years.
Did you, can we get back to that specific example? Did you say that you lost your amulet before you went into the tiger trance?
Yes, what happened was that we pulled up to his samnak. I had this beautiful amulet on, and it was made by Ajahn Tui. And I got up, and it was a cat yantra amulet. And I have no idea, but I got out the car, didn't feel anything I didn't feel anything. And we walked, and then I just kind of checked to see if it was still there, just as we were going in. And it's like, oh, it's gone. And the actual cord had been frayed, had been ripped. And I thought, how did this happen? I didn't feel, something pulled me. I didn't feel anything like that. It's literally been ripped off. So I panicked. This is a beautiful amulet and I love it. And so I went back, checked, went to the car, and there in the grass, right next to it, the amulet was sitting there on top of the long grass. And I was looking at it like, how did it get there? I got no explanation why this happened. Now, when I went in to see Ajahn Tui, he told me something. He said this: the night previous, I called upon the teacher spirits to come down this day to be here with us, so that when you receive your sakya, you will receive the teachings. And I'm like going, whoa. And the thing is, while I was there, and people in my party, they felt sick. Somebody had to step away because they felt physically sickened because there's this invisible field which occurred during the ritual, and I felt like I was going to pass out, but I stayed the course. I've just got to keep breathing, because I felt like passing out. And as I said, I went into this trance after it had been. I'll show you. There it is.
Yeah.
Right. It's in the book. This thing is. I've never experienced anything like it. I started panting, and I tried getting off the floor, and I literally started assuming the shape of a tiger. And one of my party said, "We saw this tiger shape just come out from you." And I said, "What?" Nobody was drinking or smoking pot. It was all very sort of, very sedate. And I just thought, what is going on? And see, the thing is, when you're involved, firstly, land spirits inhabit Thailand. When you go to Thailand, it's a very, very strong, magical, spiritual place. And there's density, pockets of deep feeling in specific areas. And there are areas that, of course, everywhere's magical. Where you are now, that's a magical place. But what I'm talking about is a characteristic that is specific to samnaks, where they are placed, how they're placed, and then when someone summons teacher spirits to come down, the day of a ritual, and that interaction between someone from the outside coming in and then having this ritual and then passing through an experience. You see, the thing about initiation is you can't make this up. You cannot fake it. It's not possible to fake initiation because it is imbued with feeling. And the feeling has to be true. It is based in truth. And there can be no way that you can fake it.
Then you're not initiated. I mean, if you fake it, you're not initiated.
It has to be felt.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I had this one Ajahn who was, he connected me to spirits. His name is Ajahn Sutep. He's a wonderful Ajahn. And we traveled quite a while to get to him. He's a country sorcerer and he has an amazing capacity and he's a wonderful Ajahn. And we spent a good 40 minutes. I was sat underneath a cloth going through this, chanting this ritual to connect me to the local spirits. And afterwards, he asked me, how do you feel? And to be honest with you guys, I felt I was just going to levitate. You know, I just felt like I was high, you know, it's floating. I felt I was floating, literally, but I was obviously on the ground, but my insides were just pouring out. You know, I was just high without any drugs. And it was an incredible feeling. I'll never forget it. And I'd been connected to spirits and they're still with me. I can still feel them. And once you get plugged in to a pathway, you're on that pathway for life, and I will die on this pathway.
That's fascinating. Well, I mean, I want to get into the sound stuff a little bit, but I also kind of have a question. It's sort of like the first question I asked, or the earlier question about, you know, describing yourself as a Buddhist shaman, but how do you navigate the apparent tension between structured Buddhist practice, like we talked about before, and the more shamanic, animistic, or chaotic magical work?
You've just answered the question. There it is in a nutshell. And that is the quest of my life, is the balance.
Yeah.
The balance of that.
Yeah.
I posted something about belonging to, briefly, with a Zen Buddhist Facebook group. And you see, the thing is with doctrine, it's fine. Doctrine is fine. But when your spirit wishes to move somewhere, when you feel that you want to do something, your intuition is saying you need to do this now, you must always listen to your intuition, because it's informing you of something very important. By all means, keep precept, and I do that every day. But along with that, I have to balance, as you say, the shamanism, the shamanic, instinctual side. So I call myself a Buddhist shaman. Firstly, my ex-wife, she called me a shaman. She said, "You're a shaman." And I said, no, I'm not. Yeah. And then I thought about it for years, and then I said, well, maybe I am, you know. And I would never call myself that. In fact, some people on social media said, "Oh, real shamans, they don't call themselves shamans." Yeah. And I said, well, I've heard that before. I mean, you are what you are. You are what you believe. You know, you can, I mean, if you believe in the flying spaghetti monster, and a lot of people do, great. I think it's wonderful. You can believe in whatever you wish to believe, because your mind is a projector and a receiver. Your mind is an open doorway and an open portal.
So is
you were going
that
to say something? You say something. Go on.
Darren? I have something to say. If
You go ahead.
Yeah, go.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about playing around, and I'm not insinuating that you're playing around at all, but it's, how do I ask this? There's a lot of warnings about spiritual practices these days, especially, right? Like connecting with evil spirits, like not knowing if you're trying to connect these spirits, like you're asking your spirits to come down, like how do you protect yourself from the evil ones? How do you make sure that they are what they say they are? I think you answered it in what you just said about the belief and all that, and having to, So I guess what I'm trying to ask is how much of that is based on your knowledge slash initiative practice versus like belief and intuition to or is there even a need to protect yourself from evil spirits, or because maybe you don't even believe that there is evil spirits?
Everyone has the capacity to be possessed. The smartphone is a portal to possession. I've seen people that I've known for years, calm, happy, reasonable, logical people, turn into right-wing extremists overnight. People have gone completely nuts, and it so much saddens me, because they've allowed their mind to be invaded by an idea that has lost any sense of reason, any sense of logic. You must base all of your decisions in logic. You have to think logically and carefully. You must have inner peace. Everything stems from that, because people create their own troubles. You know that, don't you? People create their own problems. People are their own demons.
So you're not worried about it because you're not creating your own demons, basically.
I'm not creating my own demons. I recognize and I see demonic behavior. I see it. But I protect myself by returning to my inner self and seeking the calm through practices, meditational practices that reset and aim to maintain a sense of calm. It's important to have reason and logic. While one is involved in practices, for example, I just did a ritual, excuse me. This is Krukai Kayu, and Krukai Kayu in Thailand is seen as a demonic character, but I don't believe he is. I believe Krukai Kayu is someone that has been perceived during a vision. A monk traveled around Thailand, and he went to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and he meditated for, well, allegedly. I mean, there are many stories about Krukai Kayu, but the one that I like is the fact that he was perceived by a monk, and a monk saw this vision, and then he started to create some form of statue from the visions that he'd been given while he was practicing. And so Krukai Kayu is like a father of the occult in Thai Buddhist practice, though he's not seen as a Buddhist deity. He is seen as a number of things. Some people do all sorts of things in order to praise him, which I don't agree with. Taking life, killing animals. I do not agree with taking life in any way whatsoever. It disgusts me. But I give offerings to Krukai Kayu, fruit, candles, incense, flowers, non-destructive things. And the energy I receive from Krukai Kayu is very good. And so I feel it's a beneficial relationship. But if it's toxic, it's no good. And this is what one has to understand when one is dealing with occult forces. If it's toxic, if it's destructive, if it's hurting people, then don't do it. Krukai Kayu is a very wonderful deity if treated correctly.
Yep, going back to your precepts and the principles of Buddhism, the non-harm principles, the loving kindness, all that kind of stuff. Will center you back to.
Is that based on sentience somehow then? Because some people would argue that those flowers are alive as well.
Of course, yes, they're an offering. They are alive. Yes, they're alive.
So if they're if the flowers are picked, haven't you killed them?
Well, I bought them already cut.
Already picked. So does
Yes.
that work for like consuming animals and things like that as well? If you is it the act of you doing it, or is it okay to like buy burger from the store, or how does like because you bought the flowers, can you buy meat?
No, let me tell you about something that happened to me. I used to be a stand-up comedian in the 90s, and I did this benefit gig for Bosnia. I tried to do it, and I used to do this piece of stand-up comedy which involved a piece of fresh fruit. Now, the thing is, one of the organizers said, you can't use, and it was a Buddhist organization that was running it. He said, sorry, you can't use this fruit because it's anti-life. Well, I mean, the fruit has already left the tree. It's already dead. So how is it anti-life? You know, I mean, yes, it's still a piece of fruit and I respect it. But see, you know, you can go way off beam and lose all common sense when you take a certain pathway of belief. So I try to take the middle pathway with most things. The
Because the
sense
fruit's
of
gonna
basic,
fall off the tree eventually anyway. I mean, animals are destined to die eventually. There's sort of these different loops that are hooked in that you can get carried away on.
all things must pass. All things will pass. Everything. You know, everything is impermanent. You know, and you mentioned loving kindness. Loving kindness means having a mind that carefully looks at each aspect that you do. The kindness, loving kindness. It's a very specific term, and employing that means doing some things. I mean, I was a carer for my late mother for 12 years, and I witnessed her die of cancer. So I helped her, and there were some things that were traumatic for me to go through, but I did so because I knew it was a loving kindness thing to do for her, to care for her until her death. It was hard. Some things are very hard, but we do them because it's important to maintain a sense of decency, of kindness. We have to do these things. You know, it's we will all die, every one of us. Everything is impermanent. Our bodies, everything is translucent and beautiful. Everything is translucent and beautiful.
Excellent.
Do we have time to go into the sound your sound magic, the mystery and magic of sound? Any experiences where sound sort of acted like a weapon, portal, or healing force that people should know about?
Yes, there's one instance. Chanting mantras are a good thing for me.
Yeah.
When I was chanting, as I mentioned earlier, I really got into chanting the mantra of Padmasambhava. And I got to a point where I was chanting it a lot of times in Los Angeles, and this extraordinary thing happened. I was just in front of the shrine chanting, and then my grandfather appeared. And okay, is this? I mean, am I having a psychotic episode? I thought, keep chanting, and he appeared, and I haven't seen my grandfather in years. I mean, not since I was a child. He was a lovely old man, and he appeared in a vision, and he started doing this like that, and I thought, oh man. So I took note of it, and then I forgot about it. And then coming home from a meeting with the Agape Church, I came home and I was driving down the freeway, and there I turned to the right-hand side, and on this massive billboard, there were these words, "Come back home." And I suddenly realized what my grandfather was saying. What my grandfather was saying was, "Come back home, come back to Britain. You, you've done your time in the States
Wow.
for now." And I thought, yeah, come back home. So I did. And over a period of months, I started preparing. I've been in Los Angeles for 7 years. I had no plans to leave. And I took it as a portent, as a message from my grandfather to come back to Britain. And I did that. And that's what prompted me to come from America, going from America, coming back to the UK. So once you plug into these things, once you start plugging into these things, and you appropriately discern, have appropriate discernment, and not getting it wrong, it wasn't easy. It was something that I didn't particularly want to do because it was extremely difficult coming back after 7 years and having to start all over again.
Oh yeah.
That was just really, and also leaving California, it was like coming out of hyperspace. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, the way I lived there was like in hyperspace. And then coming back to a grey Britain, London, I was in London walking, and I mean, I nearly threw up in the street. I felt physically sick. It was so hardcore. It was very painful. But I went through it
I could see
because
that.
I knew my grandfather. He told me for a reason, and there was a good reason as well, as
Do you
it
think
turned
that
out.
reason was to care for your mother?
Yes.
So
mean-
now that you've sort of through that, do you still plan to stay in Britain, or do you feel like that sort of is that responsibly cleared now, or is it still calling to you?
No, I mean, my mother passed away in 2023, and she's passed, and that part of my filial duty has ended, and who knows? The world is an open book.
That's interesting. So you do believe that it was for that specific reason, so you could go back and be there with your mother instead of trying to deal with it all. I mean, I'm sure she appreciates it.
She wrote a letter to me before she passed, and she said pretty much what you just said, that she appreciated me, and we had a few laughs. She was a great woman, and I do miss her.
So what do you plan on doing next?
I'm writing a new book.
What's that one called?
I don't want to give it away because
Okay.
I'm kind of hankering. I'm kind of hankering for another invite on your show.
Oh yeah. Let's do it when it comes out. Let's do it. I mean, this is absolutely fascinating.
I hope you invite me back.
Yeah, absolutely. This
It's
has been a great chat. Before we do start to wrap up, is there anything about the book or anything we should have asked you that we didn't?
no, I can't think of anything. It's I mean, a lot of people ask me, what should I do? I mean, people talk to me online and say, do you think I should have Sakyan? Do you think, what can you teach me about it? Well, I've written a book. Please buy the book and read the book. It's all in there. I don't need to tell you anything because it's in a solid book with photographs, black and white and color, and it tells you all you need to know. I mean, one guy was saying to me, this very, very talented producer, he said, and I said, no, young man, go east, young man. Go to Thailand, get Sakyant. Go, do it. I can't teach you anything. The book tells you everything. He said he'd read the book and he wanted to know more. I said, well, if you want to know more, you need to go. So if you're interested in this subject, buy my book, then read the book, and then think about it. some people after reading it think, "Do I really want to do this?" I mean, as a travel book, it works very well. I mean, it is a spiritual road movie. You know, a lot happens, and that's why I had to write the book, because so much happened over 7 years. I mean, my father died, my sister died, my mother died, and the pandemic. A lot happened, and that's just world events and personal events. I mean, all the things that happened. I mean, I went through countless magical rituals. I lost count how many I went through, and they're all documented in detail in the book.
Are you gonna do? Are you gonna narrate it yourself on audio? Have you ever thought about that? You have a nice English accent, a nice voice.
Well, thank you. I haven't been invited yet. I mean, I'd like to. My publisher, Inner Traditions, if you're
Yeah,
watching, if you want to
yeah. Well, that's why I
invite
was
me
wondering if they
to,
gave you the offer, if they offered to do it for you.
if you want to invite me to Vermont, I'll read it for you. I'm very happy to do that. You know, it's something that I would like to do, but it's up to them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd bug them about it because they are getting into it a little more. Probably if you read it yourself, that would help them out because they wouldn't have to pay for it. But I think like we run a publishing company and you're talking 3 or 4 to 1 on audio to print now.
Oh, really?
People love the audio. Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
now
and-
audio has the new things where you've got all the pictures, you can attach accompanying PDF to it so that they can look at the pictures that you're talking about and that sort of thing. But yeah, I would some of these older publishers, I mean, we work with Inner Traditions all the time. We know them really well. I'm not gonna I love they're great. They send us books, they
Oh,
send us guests, they're fantastic. But some of these publishers aren't we're a new company, so we kind of got into it on the audio side and then got into the print side. And it's just like some of these older houses might not have figured out yet how far audio is coming. I know Jordan Peterson was saying his audiobook does 5 to 1 on his print.
really? Well, that's amazing. I mean, you know, I've always bought books from Inner Traditions. I mean, my whole life, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
and you know, it's like watching league division, like watching a league division one football team. Not that I'm into football, but you know, and then suddenly, you know, one of the major teams turns around and says, "Do you want to play football for us?" And I'm going, "What?" You know, I mean, what, me published by Inner Traditions, like serious hardcore publisher? And I'm like, God, what's going on? You know, I mean, I'm still pinching myself. You know, I can't believe that happened. What, me, this small Welsh kid, you know, this little Welsh kid from Wales, you know, who's that? You know, what's that about? But there you go. You know, magic happens every day.
That's right.
Magic happens. Keep it happening. Shirzed Thai Tattoo Magic, the initiatory practices of the Thai Buddhist magicians. We appreciate you coming on the show. Do keep in touch. Let us know when that other book comes out, and we'll do this again.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight and pleasure to speak to you both. Thank you.
What's your website and how can people get the book?
I have a link tree.
Okay.
I'm on Linktree.
Okay.
Okay, and it's Linktree Shirzed.
Okay.
And you know, just type into Google Thai Tattoo Magic, and that's magic spelt with a K, Magick, the Crowleyan way of
Yeah.
writing magic. And it's available on Inner Traditions website, and it's available on Amazon. It's everywhere. It's across the galaxy. It's everywhere. If you know if you want to seek it, you'll find it.
Right on.
Excellent. Well, enjoy your summer coming up. It seems like when that island is habitable, but the summers
It's
are
really
it always
it's
blows my mind that I mean I'm in Canada and it always blows my mind that most of your country is even further north than I am. I mean, I do still think sometimes I prefer the snow over what you guys get in the winter.
yeah. I mean, Britain. You know, I mean, it's a national obsession, as you well know. I mean, people obsess about the weather and what it does and temporal climate, and yeah, it's a crazy little island. It
You
really
can
is.
start to understand why you guys went out and conquered the world. You were just sick of the rain.
Basically, that's it in a nutshell. You know, people, you know, traveled around on boats because sod this for a game of soldiers. I don't want to be here. It's bloody awful. Let's go and
Yeah.
invade a country. Not,
A sunny
know,
one.
just very silly behavior. Imperialism,
Yeah.
big yawn,
Yeah.
you know.
Cheers,
All right,
Ed.
thanks, Sheer.
Thanks for taking some time out of your evening to come on the show. Keep up the good work and come back. Let us know when that book's out and we'll do this again.
I will certainly do that.
Ciao for now.
Thank you. Take care.
And that was a chat with Sheer Zed, Thai Tattoo Magic. That was a good one. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's good.
He's got to get that audio book out. You got to bug those Inner Traditions people to get on it with the audio. And they have, I mean, we did one for him. Maybe we could do more. Inner Traditions, if you're listening, we are for hire. as
Well, those British accents really do.
And
they
we would
make
work
it-
out a deal with
people
you
love
guys.
those
because,
voices. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are after giving us like 500 books over the decades. So we appreciate it. Big thanks to Sheer for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks if you're some of the people that support the show and to keep the show on the go. If it wasn't for these people, the show would not exist. So thank you to them. No ads, no back catalog, or no paywalls, no nothing. Grimerica.ca/support. If you're getting some value from the show, send some value back our way, and we'll keep doing the podcast. Check out GrimericaOutlawed.ca for other show. Contact at thecabin.com for trips and events. Going to Easter Island in about 3.5 weeks. There's still a couple spots left for that if you want to join. Solstice at Serpent Mound Festival coming up this summer, and some Randall Carlson stuff in the fall. Then adultbrain.ca for all those audiobooks and publishing company we talked about. Over 220 books on audio and a bunch more catching up on print and all that stuff. Disastermaps.ca is our new API if you want to check that out and play with the globe and do all sorts of fun stuff. Other than that, we love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.